Welcome, friends. Wrigley Field, the Friendly Confines, is best known as the home of the Chicago Cubs and one of the most iconic venues in baseball. But its walls have witnessed much more than the crack of the bat and the roar of Cubs fans. For decades, Wrigley Field has also hosted the bone-crushing tackles and unforgettable moments of football, professional and collegiate alike. In fact, the Bears, from a title perspective, have won more titles at Wrigley than any other team that's played there. Today, we're going to uncover the unique, quirky, and historic journey of football at this legendary venue. Before it was Wrigley Field, it was Weeghman Park, built in 1914 as the home for the Chicago Whales of the Federal League. But even in those early days, football found a place here. High school and semi-professional teams regularly played games on the field, including the Hammond All-Stars, who featured Olympic icon Jim Thorpe. These games hinted at the potential of football in a city that was still discovering its love for the sport. In 1921, professional football officially came to Chicago when George Halas relocated the Decatur Staleys to the city. Rebranding them as the Chicago Bears in 1922, Halas struck a deal with the Cubs president Bill Veeck Sr. to use Cubs Park, later renamed Wrigley Field, as the team's home. It was a partnership that would span 5 decades. The Bears were trailblazers in the early days of the NFL, and Wrigley Field became synonymous with their dominance. From the 1930s to the 1960s, the Bears won 7 NFL championships, and the stadium played host to legendary players like Red Grange, Bronco Nagurski, Gale Sayers, Dick Butkus, and even Mike Ditka. For nearly 50 years, the Bears called Wrigley Field home. Over 360 games were played here, making it the most used stadium in NFL history during that time. But playing football at a baseball stadium came with challenges. The field layout was unconventional. Running north to south from left field to first base, the south end zone famously extended into the visitors' dugout, which was padded for player safety. The north end zone was even tighter, ending just inches from the brick outfield wall. The dimensions forced the Bears to play a physical, run-heavy style of football, which aligned perfectly with the gritty, smash-mouth identity of the team.
It's 11 degrees. Unofficially, we'll call your own shots. And let the tapping toes tell the tale. The Giants in white and the Bears in deep blue meet at midfield. The Bears win the choice. They'll receive, and the Giants trot out the big toe of Don Chandler.
Wrigley Field saw some of the greatest moments in NFL history. 1933, the Bears won their first NFL championship here, defeating the New York Giants 23-21 in a thrilling game. 1940, the Bears obliterated Washington 73-0 in the NFL championship, a record margin of victory that still stands today. 1965, Gale Sayers scored 6 touchdowns against the 49ers in one game, rushing, receiving, and returning, a feat that cemented his status as one of the all-time greats. The field conditions at Wrigley were as much as part of the story as the players. By the mid-season, the grass was often worn away, and players recalling running on dirt painted green. It wasn't perfect, but for legends like Dick Butkus, it was part of the game's charm. For a brief period, Wrigley Field was also home to another NFL team, the Chicago Cardinals. From 1931 to 1938, the Cardinals shared the field with the Bears, creating a unique, short-lived rivalry in the city. The Cardinals would later move to Comiskey Park before eventually relocating out of Chicago entirely. By 1970, the NFL's popularity had outgrown the cozy confines of Wrigley Field. With seating limited to a capacity under 50,000 and no lights for night games, we'll talk about that in another episode, the league required the Bears to move. On December 13th, 1970, the Bears played their final game at Wrigley, defeating the Green Bay Packers 35-17. The team moved to Soldier Field the following year, marking the end of an era.
The last time the Collegians came, there were 48 states, a Roosevelt in the White House, and Seabiscuit on the track. 1938, DePaul against St. Louis. They don't even field teams anymore. The last time Northwestern hosted Illinois on my ground, 1923. So much has happened in my waiting. I've gained lights, filled rooftops, grown into a team's identity. But my identity, 4,000 yards of soil, 4 acres of bluegrass, that's room enough for a gridiron. So let the Cubs hibernate. The Cats are coming back. And today, let my confines be a bit less friendly and a lot more fierce. I am Wrigley, and I am ready.
After 40 years, football returned to Wrigley Field in 2010 as Northwestern hosted Illinois in the Land of Lincoln Trophy game. But the stadium's dimension posted significant changes. The east and west zone was only 1 foot from the wall, so all offensive plays were directed toward the west end zone, a first in modern football history. Despite these oddities, over 41,000 fans packed Wrigley to witness the return of college football. In recent years, Wrigley Field has embraced its versatility as a multi-sport venue. 2013, Northwestern baseball played Michigan, with pitcher Luke Farrell delivering a complete game shutout. 2014, Northwestern lacrosse defeated USC 12-7 in front of thousands of fans. 2021 and 2024, Northwestern football has returned to Wrigley multiple times, facing Big Ten rivals like Purdue, Iowa, and Illinois. Renovations through the 1060 project have made the field safer and allowed for a regulation-sized gridiron. From the bruising runs of Bronco Nagurski to the dazzling touchdowns of Cale Sayers, Wrigley Field's football legacy is a testament to the stadium's adaptability and charm. While it's first and foremost a baseball cathedral, its role in football history is undeniable. Few stadiums can claim to have hosted so many iconic moments in 2 of America's favorite sports. As Northwestern continues to host games at Wrigley, the Friendly Confines carry on as a living monument to Chicago's sport history. Whether you're a fan of football or baseball, Wrigley Field is a place where legends are made. What's your favorite football memory? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more sports stories.